WagerTalk.com. What a great and fantastic time to go get some best bets at WagerTalk.com for just $5. We're also going to give you some great information for free right here on Wager Talk Today, talking college basketball, pro football, boxing as well, even a little soccer, I believe. Boy, we got everything covered here on Wednesday. I am Steve Merrill, filling in for the Prez. He is en route to Las Vegas to win some money and to sneak up on Teddy Covers as we speak. And speaking of Teddy Covers, let's get started with a great show here on Wednesday.
Hey, Steve, great to be here. And as you mentioned, a loaded Wednesday edition. Adam Trigger, Eric Pauly, Kevin Dolan on our show today. We're talking college hoops, we're talking NBA, NFL, and so much more. Just getting started.
Adam Trigger, let's start it off. College basketball expert, and nobody was better over the past year. Number one, I believe, last year, Adam, in college hoops. And I know you dig deep and you follow some of the Northeast teams, especially your home neck of the woods in New York, and you've got two of them here today, or tonight rather, St. Bonnie and Niagara. Let's get right into it. Give us an edge here.
Yeah, so I'll be at this game, and I've got to say first that, so obviously if you follow me on Twitter, I go to a lot of these games, and sometimes I'll have a pick in the game. And now my boy Andrew McKinnis has put out to the world like that I have a little bit of a streak going when I'm in person at the game. So it's 3 in a row. I hope to make it 4 in a row, but like people are expecting a winner here now. So I hope to bring you one. And it is a client play. I'm 14. So I went back and looked, Steve, since the beginning of last year, since I started going to these 14-9 plus 16.4 units on games I've been in the building. So I'd like to think I'm worth at least 1.5 points to the number. And I hope that's the case here. So I am on the Niagara Purple Eagles tonight. Again, I will be in attendance at this game. This is out in Lewiston, New York, where Niagara Falls, home of, at the Gallagher Center. I think that's important. We'll start the handicap there. So this is kind of a rivalry. They call it the Big Four out in Buffalo. That's Buffalo, Canisius, Niagara, and St. Bonaventure. But these two teams don't play every year. In fact, they haven't played since 2019. This is the first time the game will be at the Gallagher Center since 2018, a game that Niagara won, and a game that was nearly sold out. So if you know anything about, Niagara, like most MAC games, most games they don't draw big time opponents. They're usually about 900 people in attendance. That game had 2,300. The building holds 2,400, and I know they're expecting a pretty big crowd tonight. So that's, to continue on that, I think this game means a little bit more for Niagara. It's a bigger deal to Niagara than it is to St. Bonaventure. Like St. Bonaventure actually plays Siena in a couple days, and that's become a little bit of a rivalry. They call it the Franciscan Cup. The two teams play every year. They alternate, in Albany and then out in Olean. And so that game's in a couple days. I think that game is probably a bigger deal to St. Bonaventure than this trip to Niagara. So, just a little bit of a spot, favoring Niagara here. The other thing I think that favors, Niagara against the points or being the right side in this game is just the way that they've sort of trended under Greg Paulus. This is a guy that, everyone knows Greg Paulus, the player for Duke, the quarterback for a year for Syracuse. But this is the 5th year he's been the coach at Niagara, and he's a very good basketball coach. He's done more with less there. This is a team that anytime they have a good player, you think Noah Thomas in Georgia. They leave Marcus Hammond a couple of years ago, goes to Notre Dame, and he's constantly had to rebuild, do it with new players, and he almost always gets the maximum, out of what he has on the roster. And so after a 1-5 start with a couple of games where, this past weekend, a couple of games didn't go their way in the MAC, tough overtime loss to Quinnipiac, I think they'll ultimately trend in the right direction. And I think it starts by them playing a competitive game here. St. Bonaventure's a good team. They're going to finish up near the top of the A10, probably by default, because the conference isn't as good as it's been in years past, but it's a quality team, very well coached. But, they were down last year. And even though they're better this year, they're still kind of getting back. They're not quite what they were a few years back, still not super efficient on the offensive end. And really, they really rely on getting the free throw line. If you can keep the Bonnies off the foul line, the offense still isn't great. And for that reason, I think you can play against them laying 8.5 points. So, St. Bonaventure played Buffalo over the weekend. I felt like the game was relatively even. And Buffalo they were 2 for 17 from 3. Niagara does hit the 3, and it's the way they'll stay in some of these games. I think it's going to be a live environment tonight, and I think the 8.5 points is good here.
So I want to ask you specifically about this point spread range. When we talk about road favorites, in general, we're talking about if they're not up by double digits going into the final minute, they're going to have to hit free throws. You talked about how good St. Bonnie is at the free throw line. I think they're top 20 in the country. So if it's a foul and three-pointer situation at the end of the game, I got to think advantage Bonnies. They got a chance to pull away late, even if they can't pull away early. Is that something you look at, Adam? You know, free throw shooting percentages at the end of games, or is that not a big factor in your handicap?
No, I mean, it absolutely is. You should always be, any time you're handicapping a college basketball game, you're going to want to know what these two teams do from the line. I mean, like you said, St. Bonaventure, they're making free throws at a top 20% clip. I think that'll be a point of emphasis for Niagara here to keep them off the free throw line. Something I do like about Niagara, which could keep them into a game late, is they can hit the 3. So for what this team lacks offensively, they shoot the 3 incredibly well. And that's something where you talk about a late game situation and you're coming the other way. You've got the 8.5 points. Maybe you're down 11. I mean, if you've got guys that can launch and start, kind of hitting threes late, it works the other way as well. And that'll be the key here for Niagara. They are a 36.8% from 3. Probably like top 60 or 70%, or 60 or 70 range in the country. And I actually think that's a key to victory for them. They're going to need to hit the 3-point shot, but the Bonnies were very fortunate over the weekend that Buffalo just simply could not hit. However, that's not a good shooting team, that Buffalo team. Niagara shoots it a little bit better, and maybe the threes fall. If the threes fall, I think Niagara's going to win this game.
It's Adam Trigger breaking down a game he'll be at in person tonight on Wednesday in college basketball. And I'll be damned, Adam, if you give out a play you're going to be at, because I did the same thing on the college basketball show earlier with Ralph Michaels and Jimmy Adams. Gave out a free play in the Old Dominion William and Mary game that I will be at tonight. And it's funny because Ralph broke down Memphis VCU, and he said, I wonder if Steve will be at this game. And then right after that, I was like, nope, but I'll be at another game in the state of Virginia. So we'll see if I can have some accuracy as well by attending the game in person like Adam Trigger's been doing. Adam travels to more venues than me, though. I kind of keep it local. Adam, Monday Night Football this past week, big upset. I mean, Cincinnati was a 10-point dog. They go into Jacksonville. They win it in overtime. Backup quarterback Browning looked fantastic, to say the least. So we'll find out if that continues. And now they're taking on the Colts, who have won 4 straight and against the spread. This actually has a lot of playoff implications. This game, Indianapolis at Cincinnati on Sunday. How are you approaching it?
Yeah, I mean, and you talk about the Colts and just the situation they're in. Trevor Lawrence goes down, and suddenly, they've got to have a little juice behind them, thinking that they could probably win this division now. They're a game back. You see the division leader lose their quarterback, and they come in winning 4 straight games. So, I like the Colts in this game for other reasons, but certainly, they're riding a nice wave right now, and they have solid momentum. And and I guess you look back at those 4 games, they continue to find ways to win. Last week they couldn't run the ball at all against the Titans, 55 rush yards, and yet still found a way to get it done. In this spot, I think they will be able to run the ball. The Bengals are not good against the run, and it should help the Colts offensively. It should open up, the offense for Gardner Minshew to make more plays. And I've got to say about Minshew, I initially downgraded the Colts when Richardson went down earlier this year. But Minshew's as good of a backup quarterback as there is in the league right now, in my opinion. From just a veteran, prepared, gives his team a chance to win every time out. He will turn it over. But, you start looking at up and down the league and the guys that are starting games right now for teams that have lost their quarterbacks, or what other teams have behind their starter. And Minshew is a guy that I've almost become more, interested in playing on than fading with this Colts team. On the other side, I'm not quite sure I'm there yet with Browning. He had a really good game on Monday Night Football against the Jaguars team with a very poor pass defense. But, his 2 previous games were not very good. Now, you could make the argument that the Ravens and the Steelers are elite defenses. And, of course, he's going to struggle in a game, being thrown into a game against the Ravens or having to play against the Steelers. But, the Colts, I would say, are just as capable as the Jaguars, maybe even, a better pass defense. And now we'll have to see if Browning can handle the come back to earth spot here, if you will. Big win on Monday Night Football, and now can he turn around and do it again? I would be willing to bet against that. I think the Colts are the better team, and I think you're getting a good number here. This is down -1. I like the Colts to win again, and I think they're the right side in this game on Sunday.
So Indy has a 4-game winning streak, no question. Of course, they've beaten the Panthers, the Patriots, the Bucks, and the Titans during that span. I believe those 4 teams have a combined record of 12 and 36, and some of those wins came against each other. Is Indy actually any good, or are they just capable of beating the worst teams on their schedule? Because that's my biggest concern about the Colts right now. Last week, we'll call it, I don't know if I want to call it a lucky win, but certainly when you get 2 block punts in a game to turn a double-digit deficit into a lead, it goes a long way towards coming back and making your final score look better than it probably should have. But do we believe this Colts run? I mean, it's 4 wins against absolute bottom feeders. Cincy, whatever they are, they're not an absolute bottom feeder.
I mean, listen, Teddy, you make a good point. No one likes to come on this show and fade a 4-game winning streak more than me. That's usually my style, right? Like, I'm always looking to try to sell a team at their peak. But I guess what it comes down to for me here is I don't have confidence in the Bengals being able to turn around from the win in the fashion that they won on Monday night, the upset win, and then come back with Browning under center and beat a team that seems to have figured out how they want to play like the Colts. So I think in this matchup, from a line perspective, I think you're getting a good number with the Colts. Now, it's not a client play yet for me. I can't come and give all the client plays out on the show. I just gave you one with Niagara, plus 8.5. That is one. But this is one where I wouldn't be dying to bet the Bengals here. And, the Colts is the way I'm looking in this game.
Adam Trigger, WagerTalk.com. You can find him later today on The Hustle as well here on WagerTalk TV. Tell us a little bit about that, Adam, and also what you got going for $5 Customer Appreciation Wednesday at WagerTalk.com.
Yeah, so I couldn't hold out on you guys and sell the Niagara play. I had to come out, give that one for free. Anything I put up the rest of the day will be $5 from the Customer Appreciation. We've got the end of the year sale going, which is a great special right now, everything through the rest of 2023. And if you're in the Buffalo area tonight and want to go to the basketball game, hit me up. I think we still have a couple extra tickets. It's going to be a good one. Bonnie's, Niagara, packed house. So, just DM me on Twitter if you're in the area. We'll get you out to the game.
It's Adam Trigger, college basketball expert in attendance tonight in Niagara. Follow him on Twitter, and, of course, find his best bets at WagerTalk.com. And, Teddy, once again, it is $5 Customer Appreciation Day on Wednesday. It's quite simple. Normally, a single play is $25. It's an instant 80% discount. No promo code needed. Best bets from each and every capper. You can get them for $5, along with some great specials as well. Don't forget about the $199 for the rest of 2023. That works out to about $7.50 a day. So that's even better than $5 a play. And that's available right now. And it's good all week. But why wait? If you sign up on Wednesday, you get Thursday, Friday sooner than waiting until this weekend. So once again, WagerTalk.com. No promo code needed for either one of those special offers on all the capper pages right now. And Teddy Covers, haven't seen you this week, haven't had a chance to talk to you, but I want to get your thoughts on the NBA in-season tournament. I kind of poo-hooed it, but these teams are taking it a little bit more serious than I thought they would, and seen some pretty good basketball. But I thought we'd see a little more defense maybe in some of the games if it had a playoff atmosphere, and that was not the case last night between the Knicks and Bucks. I think the two teams combined for the highest field goal combined shooting in the first half of any game this season. What have been your thoughts so far in these now quarterfinals, soon to be semifinal games tomorrow night in Las Vegas?
Well, it's been compelling basketball. Unfortunately, for myself and my clients, I had a 5% big ticket play on the New York Knickerbockers last night. And I stand by the handicap. That team was hungry for a trip to Vegas. I thought the Villanova championships angle with 4 current Knicks in that one-and-done format, all having played for the same college team, I thought that was worth something. And Milwaukee is a defensively deficient team right now at this stage of the season. And an amazing offensive first half for both squads. I mean, the Knicks had layup after layup. They broke down that defense exactly the way I thought they were going to do. They had 72 points at halftime. I believe it was their highest scoring half of the year. And it didn't matter. The Bucks were every bit as hungry and motivated as the Knicks were. And Milwaukee was hitting shots. They were hitting everything. 60% from 2-point range, 60% from 3-point range. The entire roster got going. I was hoping they might cool off at halftime. Instead, by the end of the third quarter was a blowout, and the Bucs cruised the rest of the way. Disappointing result. I was wrong. Bucs played out of their minds. I'm still 34-14 my last 48 releases, which is good, better than 70% across sports over the last 3 weeks. And I got more NBA on tap tonight. We'll see if we can get right back on track. And we really do have a fun Final Four here in Las Vegas for the new NBA Cup. We have the two upstarts, Indy and New Orleans, trying to knock off the two championship contenders, Milwaukee and Phoenix. I'm expecting some compelling basketball Thursday in the semis and Saturday in the finals. Steve?
Yeah, Teddy, it's interesting. You've got, like you see, two like Class A teams and two up-and-coming teams, and it was kind of interesting to see how this would all play out. And I think, we've got a little bit of both, and we'll see how the finals play out, obviously. But I stayed off the two games Monday and Tuesday. I broke them down on the NBA tip-off show both days, but there was a lot of uncertainty for me with that new format. I'm kind of glad we're back to a full card tonight. And by the way, we have like 11 games, I believe, in the NBA tonight, and then the semifinal games are by themselves tomorrow. I'll be back on the NBA tip-off show tomorrow on Thursday morning. Check that out. We'll get that up nice and early because one of those games does go early tomorrow at 5 Eastern, I believe, on Thursday. So just a little alert there if you're looking to play the games tomorrow, an early tip-off there. And then also, I do have a best bet tonight for $5 customer appreciation in the NBA, and I've ranked number one this year since 2023 began, up 128 units in the NBA. So Teddy and I have both been seeing them well, even though the play in-season tournament's been a little bit of a unique situation the last two nights. Teddy, let's get right back to it, though, here on the show, and let's talk some more NFL, though, with an NFL expert, Eric Pauly, part of goldsheet.com. And, of course, you can find Eric and the Gold Sheet also at wagertalk.com. And, Eric, we're not going to talk about your Washington Commanders because they're on a bye week. Not my Washington Commanders. Man, did I get off that ship at the right time 20 years ago. I haven't missed a beat since. But we're going to talk about the Chicago Bears and Justin Fields, who has looked better at times here over the past month or so. And, he had that injury against the Vikings, but he's actually played okay at times. Looks healthy. What are you doing with the Chicago Bears this week?
Yeah, so I'm going right back to the well and fading this Detroit Lions defense. I actually came on the show the day before Thanksgiving, gave out the Packers team total. That went over. And a lot of the same sentiments from what I saw in that game over the last 2 weeks have not been fixed for Detroit. So this is a great matchup for a number of reasons. So we know how this game went down a couple of weeks ago when they played in Detroit. The Bears had a lead. Looked like they were actually going to cruise to an upset victory. Then turnovers came into play, which is obviously something that happens with Justin Fields very often. And the Bears blew that lead. Detroit came back, got the victory. But now we have Chicago off 2 wins in the bye week. If you have to take a look at their numbers, since week 7, this defense has been really good. They've ranked 6th in expected points added and 9th in success rate over that time. Now, some things to monitor for this game is first things first is the weather. This might be the first week of the NFL season where the weather plays a factor in a bunch of games, but Jared Goff, Lions quarterback throughout the course of his career, his one big detriment has been that when he's gone on the road and in the elements, he has performed poorly. Pair that now over the last couple of games, Jared Goff has been a turnover machine, and Dan Campbell and co have done everything they can to take the ball out of his hands. Even last game against the Saints in the game, they won, relatively comfortably. They did have a couple of short fields, but they were just handing the ball off against the Saints defense, and Jared Goff only threw for 219 yards. Did make some big plays, but again, this was in a dome, and this is not going to be the elements going on in Chicago potentially on Sunday. And the Lions defense, looking at it, since week 7, this is how bad we're talking. 29th in EPA per play, 31st in success rate, 31st in dropback EPA, and last in dropback success rate. Passers are getting whatever they want on this defense. Again, Bears defense is great, so we have some the Lions, they actually love to run the football. Bears run defense since week 7, first in EPA and success rate. So they're one of the best run defenses in all of football. So we do not anticipate Detroit going to run the ball on the Bears. And also Alex Anzalone, their top linebacker, is questionable, meaning that the Bears will be able to run the football on the Lions. So with weather concerns and given the way that these two teams like to play offense and defense, I think that the Bears plus the 3.5, a great bet on Sunday.
So let's talk about weather for a minute, because it's certainly something that comes into play in December. We saw a lot of weather last week on the East Coast. Every East Coast game was affected. Every one of them had weather conditions. And the earliest forecast that I just was looking at the forecast this morning that was saying that the Midwest is not going to be as bad hit as the East Coast this week. When it comes to weather games, where do you look at your forecasts? How far in advance do you want to make these plays? How confident are you in the weather forecast a week ahead of time versus 5 days versus 2 days? Talk to me about how weather and the approach and how you approach weather conditions when it comes to sides and totals in betting December NFL.
Yeah, so first things first is the number one thing to monitor is the wind. Winds of 20 plus miles per hour make it very difficult for quarterbacks to throw the football down the field. Makes it very difficult for field goal kickers to make field goals from range. So the first thing to consider, I know there's a lot of talk about snow games and rain games. Yes, those things are factors to consider, but the real true under definer is the wind. Forecasts are very difficult to predict. Obviously, you have weather people who are talking about the forecast that morning who are getting it wrong, similar to, any other type of industry where you're predicting based on probability. So as you get closer and as the forecast becomes stronger, it's the same thing as like looking at the market, like the betting market. As it gets closer to game day, as limits continue to rise, that number is more efficient. That weather is going to be probably more and more correct as we have more information and more data, how the forecast is moving. So I think it's great because in the NFL, the way how efficient these markets are, you cannot be waiting for perfect information to be making your bets, because if you do wait, you probably miss that number at that point. So I think that you can find some edges betting the NFL early in the week. So if you do see a weather report, you should get on that news early. And odds are, if it's a correct report, you're going to have some closing line value. And if you don't, it's just one bet. It does suck, but you have to make a decision there. And I think a great example, not in this game, but in the Jags-Browns game, I got in at 37.5 for my clients on Monday morning. That total is now 30 because of the weather. So things to consider. You're going to be right sometimes. Sometimes it might be wrong, but you can't be waiting for perfect information.
And by the way, the look-ahead line on that Browns game last week was as high as 40, and now it's 30.5. That's how much that's dropped. And I actually did a standalone video for this Bears-Lions game the other day. It's going to be posted, I believe, this afternoon. That look-ahead last week was as high as 46, 46.5. It was 41 when I did the video on Monday. Now it's back to 41.5, 42, because as you said, I don't think the weather's going to be a huge issue. It might be about 18 to 20 mile per hour winds, but low 30s, clear though otherwise. So other than being cold, looks pretty playable. Hey, before we let you go, Eric, and once again, Eric Pauly, you can find him as part of the Gold Sheet, goldsheet.com, and also at WagerTalk.com. We got to talk about the Thursday night game tomorrow, speaking of totals. Because yes, the Browns now are at 30.5, but that's a weather-related issue. This is not probably a weather-related issue.
It's not. We keep saying that. That's Trevor Lawrence got hurt, and that's why that total moved as much as it was. The weather's something to point, but
the weather is don't get me wrong. CJ Beathard and Joe Flacco is definitely the reason why that total is low. The Browns defense, also their metrics at home, and the Jaguars, their metrics on the road have been much better, but it's weather-related. You don't go from 7 points from a quarterback. I understand Trevor Lawrence is good, but 7 points, 7.5 points, there's some weather concern. Definitely some of it, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
It's a healthy
I'm not saying it's all one or all the other, but I'm saying we can't underestimate the fact that it's Trevor Lawrence or that it's CJ Beathard instead of Trevor Lawrence. The markets adjust to that every bit as much as the potential weather forecast for Cleveland. That's all I was trying to say.
For sure.
Correct. And looking at Monday night before the injury, the total had already gone down to 36 on the look ahead. So it had gone from 40 to 36. So the weather was at least 4 points, and the injury is obviously another 4 or 5 points. So it's about half and half, but still pretty eye-popping when you see a total go from 40 down to 30. But yes, that's an injury-related and weather-related. So even more of a reason that's not a true total. But this is a true total. The Pittsburgh-New England game, the look ahead was as high as 35 last week, which is pretty low. But then when you have a 6-0 game, the lowest scoring NFL game in over 5 years, it drops even further. And now it's at 30. Pittsburgh is 6-point favorite. So, Eric, you might not like the side or total here. So maybe give us a player prop, something we can look at here in this game on Thursday night.
Yeah, no, thank you for setting that up that way, Steve, because this is not a weather-related. This is just two inept offenses and two very good defenses playing football on a short week. And as we know, the way primetime unders go, when there is short rest, unders are obviously hitting at a much higher rate. But I'm liking Najee Harris to go under his rushing number. Again, the reason why this total isn't so low is not because they don't think that Bailey Zappi and Mitch Trubisky are going to be able to throw the football due to crazy winds. They just think they're maybe not going to perform well, as these two teams are not going to perform well because they're not good offensive teams. But despite the fact that Najee's hit this the last 2 games, I think it's a great fade spot. This number was actually high. This is the highest number has been the last 2 weeks, so the market's kind of showing him some more respect. But from a matchup perspective, this is as tough as it gets. And it's 60.5, this number, and I'm projecting 52.5. So very good edge here. And he is the lead back. Like last week against a bad Arizona team, he still got the lion's share of carries, 16 of them compared to Jalen Warren's 9. But Harris was 16 carries for 63 yards, 3.9 yards per carry. While Warren went 9 for 59, which is 6.6 yards per carry. Now, Mitch Trubisky is expected to be starting for the injured Kenny Pickett. Now, Mitch Trubisky is more of an athlete, so I expect the Steelers to be more active with him running a little bit more, as the Patriots do sometimes struggle against running quarterbacks. But the Patriots are 22nd in neutral pass rate on D, meaning that teams are going to throw the football on them. And Jalen Warren out of the backfield has a much higher target percentage than Najee Harris does. So I actually expect the Steelers to lean more on Warren in the passing game in this game, leading to less snaps for Najee. And if Najee's getting the football, since week 10, this Patriots defense, first in rushing EPA and first in success rate on defense. That's also against playing a top 10 the teams that they play were in the top 10 in rushing, those three teams. And you have Pittsburgh, that's more in the middle of the pack. So tough matchup. I think more snaps for Warren in this game. And simply this number is too high for my projection. So like the under for Najee Harris rushing yards on Thursday.
So the Patriots just became the first team since the 1938 Chicago Cardinals to allow 10 or less in 3 straight games and lose all 3. So the defense has played out of their minds over the last 3 weeks. They're finding ways to lose. Now they're on a short week. Now they have to travel. Can this defense hold up? Is this defense primed for another, we're going to keep you in the game for 4 quarters performance? Or at some point, does the defense for New England start to look a little bit like the offense?
No, I think the defense has actually progressed. And this is also a defense that lost their best 2 players at some point between weeks 5 and Christian Gonzalez, 2 of their best players, not the 2 best. Judon arguably the best. But no, this team is just getting better and playing better. Bill Belichick, defensive-minded head coach. This isn't like news. Like, he is a defensive-minded coach. So the offense struggling, well, defense is performing great. Should not be a shock. And just situationally, it's like, I guess that one game they fired Matt Canada, they go for 400 yards against a terrible Bengals defense. Then they come back down to earth against a terrible Cardinals defense. No, I do not think that this defense is in for regression. They're actually playing well and peaking at the right time. This offense is giving them no help. The fact that they've lost those last 3 games is, if you're a Patriots fan, you won a bunch of Super Bowls, so I don't feel that bad for you. But no, this offense is terrible. This defense is as advertised.
Yeah, and to put it a little further, the last 4 games, going back to week 9, the Patriots have allowed the fewest points in the NFL, 46 points, and they're 0-4, as Teddy said. The other 4 teams after them that allowed the fewest points are the Niners, Dolphins, Colts, and Ravens. They're combined 14-2, I believe. So it really is incredible how this team has found a way. Not only, it's one thing to go 0-3 and allow 10 points or less 3 straight games, but to go 0-3 against the spread on top of that is just mind-boggling. The betting markets obviously have not adjusted to how bad this offense has become for the Iowa Hawkeyes. I mean the New England Patriots. We'll see how they play on Thursday night against the Steelers. That's Eric Pauly. He is part of the Gold Sheet, goldsheet.com, also at WagerTalk.com. And Eric, tell us a little bit more about what the Gold Sheet has going on.
Yeah, so we have a customer appreciation $5 play for a 4% NFL bet. We just cashed the 5% last weekend. We had 1 on the season, 1 last week that cashed with flying colors, San Francisco 49ers. And we actually had a 5-1 game line week for a plus 11.75 units on Sunday. So if you're looking to get in on our 4% play, that's the highest we rated. If we're not rating $5 all day today, get in on that. Then we'll have an all access package for the rest of our Sunday card coming up later tonight.
And once again, that $5 Gold Sheet play might be an NFL game, but you got to get it today on Wednesday, because after the clock strikes midnight Pacific time, it goes back to the normal price, and single games are usually $25 a pop. So it's an instant 80% discount for all Wednesday games and advanced games, but Wednesday only. So go right now to WagerTalk.com for that $5 customer appreciation special. All right, Teddy covers. We talked some college basketball. We've talked a lot of NFL. Going to talk some international sports in a moment with our man Kevin Dolan. But first, let's talk some more NBA. We touched on the in-season tournament the last couple nights, but now we're back to the regular card, as I said. A huge card, double-digit games on the board. Let's break one down, big game breakdown style here for Wednesday NBA.
Absolutely. Big game breakdown time for WagerTalk.com. And, of course, this is a client play. that I'm going to give you guys today. Customer Appreciation Day. Listen, we appreciate you guys for sure. And the fact that you buy plays, I'll continue giving you free content every single day right here on WagerTalk TV. So let's talk a little bit about the Atlanta Hawks and the Brooklyn Nets. Looking at the WagerTalk live odds screen right now, it's kind of a mixed line. There's some 3.5s out there. There's some 4s out there. 244 the total Atlanta as the home favorite. And this is two teams that, when you look at the standings, they're right next to each other. 10-9 straight up versus 9-10 straight up. Very comparable teams. But look at how the markets have priced these two teams this season. Comparable records. Again, 1 game difference in the standings. But the Nets are 14-4 against the spread with a push. The Hawks are 5-14 against the spread. One team has been consistently undervalued. The other team has been consistently overvalued. And the two teams are basically even. Are you convinced the market's got it right tonight? Look, since starting 5-3, the Hawks have beaten these 3 teams: Detroit, Washington, San Antonio. Bottom feeders. Oh, they do have one more win. A 2-point, hotly contested win in overtime against these same Nets, a game the Nets were still talking about as they were looking for the revenge meeting tonight. Atlanta's 2-9 against the spread this season as a favorite. They're 1-7 against the spread at home. This is not a team I'm confident laying points with right now. The markets haven't gotten them right, and I'm not convinced they're right here. Plain and simple. Give me Crooklyn, the Nets, +4. That's in my pocket. I've advised my clients to make that same bet. There's your big game breakdown for Customer Appreciation Day. Again, all plays, shouldn't say all plays, every capper, most cappers have a $5 package on their page right now at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com. Steve?
That's right. It's $5 customer appreciation. Means 1 play per capper. We got to limit it. It's an 80% discount. If you want an even better deal, though, I highly recommend taking a serious investment approach for the rest of 2023. Finish the year right with that $199 all sports, all access. That works out to just $7.50 a day, not per play, per day. So if you're getting 2 or 3 plays a day from cappers, that's just a couple dollars a play. It's like $2 Tuesday every day for the rest of the year. And that $199 special is good all week. And the sooner you get on board, the more days you get with it, because that price is fixed and it's available. No promo code needed, along with $5 customer appreciation Wednesday. Every capper, WagerTalk.com. All right, we've talked a lot of U.S. sports, NFL, college basketball, NBA. Now let's go international with our international man, Kevin Dolan, the Irish Korean, to say the least. And it's funny, I saw Kevin yesterday on the NBA tip-off show, and I was like, if I don't see you again, happy holidays. See you next year. And then the next day, I forgot you were going to be on with me because I'm guest hosting for the Prez. So it worked out. And Kevin, we're going to look at some boxing, your forte in a moment. But first, let's talk some soccer because you cover soccer as well. Spanish La Liga play. Girona and Barcelona on Sunday, I believe. What are you doing in this one?
Yeah, big game over in Spain this weekend, Steve, between, 2 of the teams occupying the top 3 spots in the league right now in Girona and Barcelona. Obviously on top, this is a Catalonian derby. Perhaps not quite as spicy of an affair as an Espanyol Barcelona game, but given where Girona currently sit in the table right now, they certainly won't want to lose to their local rivals this weekend. Girona have been absolutely, sensational to start this season. They've lost just once all year. That coming against Real Madrid. They come into this game as the hottest team in the league right now as well. They're averaging a really, solid 2.50 points per game across their last 10 starts. No other team in the league matches that kind of return. So this is going to be a really tough game for Barcelona on Sunday. They face a trip over to Belgium on Wednesday night as well in the Champions League. Girona are unbeaten away from home this year. They boast plus 0.41 expected goals differential per 90 minutes on the road this season as well. And they've proven to be a real headache for teams away from home this year. Girona is a team who've taken points, especially in this game as well, in this series. They've taken points off Barcelona in both of the recent visits here. Also, those results coming in an even more hostile Camp Nou as well. Barcelona for this season, their ground's getting redone, so they've moved slightly. So plenty to like here in terms of backing Girona on the straight +1 goal handicap line in this one. But I'm going to tease this game effectively. Obviously we always associate teasers with NFL, but you can also do it in soccer as well. I'm going to pair it with the over here for a sizable jump on odds. Girona sits with the league's #1 scorer in offense this season. Barcelona own the league's #1 offensive XG rating as well, so plenty of goals are expected in this one on Sunday. So I think the straight over 3 goals on its own here is also another solid play. But like I said, tease those two together. Pair Girona plus 1.5 up with the over 2.5 goals in this one. And that comes out to a pretty healthy plus 157 right now over at FanDuel. I got that one out. I'm sure the books will post something similar as well. So basically, I just don't see Girona being blown out here, given how they performed this season already. And by the same token, I believe 3 goals is the minimum we see, given how prolific these two offenses are. So yeah, give me Girona plus 1.5 paired with the over 2.5 goals in the same game parlay here, plus 157 this weekend. I really like that play for Sunday.
Kevin Dolan says, wait till Sunday. Well, don't wait till Sunday. Get it now. But take a look at the underdog, a live underdog playing good soccer right now in Girona. Of course, the over in that one. Speaking of live underdogs, let's talk about the junior welterweight title bout at the Chase Center in San Francisco. This one is on Saturday night. Regis Prograis versus Devin Haney. Right now, look at the WagerTalk live odds screen. Haney, the solid favorite. I'm seeing anywhere from let's call it minus $4 for the chalk in this one. What do you like, and why do you like it?
You know, I've been flip-flopping on this fight pretty much since it was announced, Teddy. We look back to Regis Prograis' last fight against Zorrilla in June, and he did look poor. You know, he was plodding around the ring after Zorrilla, failing to cut off the ring in what was expected to be a fairly easy homecoming fight for him in New Orleans, especially on his DAZN debut. And, you know, just in terms of my own scoring as well, I thought he was fairly lucky to come out with the victory in that fight. You know, the issue for Prograis ahead of this one is that he faces another mover in Devin Haney on Saturday, and one who will no doubt be extremely buoyed by what he saw in the Zorrilla fight. You know, Prograis was telegraphing every time he looked to come inside in Zorrilla. You know, he'd do a little shuffle of his feet before moving his head from side to side. That telegraphed his entry point. And if he does that here, you know, Haney will read those patterns all night long, and it'll turn into some kind of, you know, jabbing sleepathon, effectively, a very one-sided fight. The only hope for Prograis here is that he's obviously learned from those mistakes. He certainly knows what he's up against here. And you just can't discount the power dynamic in this fight. You know, on the surface, Haney's making the move from 135 to 140, you know, after unifying all the titles down there, which is a big enough adjustment on its own, obviously. But that doesn't even tell the full story here. Haney has never... Now, he was a big lightweight, so obviously the move up, you know, has been deemed necessary. But Haney has never been in the area code of the power he's going to face here on Saturday night. You know, Regis Prograis is legitimately one of the hardest punchers in the entire sport. 24 KOs and 29 wins. And we already saw Jorge Linares put Haney on spaghetti legs down at lightweight. So if Prograis lands clean here even once, you know, Haney's probably going to wake up next Tuesday. He's going to have to be absolutely perfect for all 12 rounds. Likely something... You know, for all Prograis' recent faults, that's going to be easier said than done. So I think it's very easy to look at both men's last fights. You know, Haney's controversial decision against Lomachenko, Prograis really struggling against the lateral mover in Zorrilla, and assume, you know, Haney's jab, his ring IQ, his space, and so on will prove too much for Prograis in this one. But, you know, like I said, that last performance for Prograis could well play into his hands here. He's now not at home anymore. You know, the home pressure isn't there for him. He's not the betting favourite. He obviously goes into this one as the underdog. And all Prograis has heard over the last few months is how he can't cut off the ring. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see an almost Triple J approach from Prograis in this one, where, you know, he almost just abandons technique, you know, similar to that Triple J Kell Brook fight, and almost runs at Haney in spots here. You know, from a risk-reward standpoint, there's not much to lose doing that. Haney has bulked up in his move to 140, but make no mistake, there's only one serious power puncher in this fight. So for me, gun to head, the most likely scenario is Haney to win by decision, but minus 225, minus 240 in some spots, there's just no way I'm laying that. That's a non-starter. So taking Prograis to win straight up here, plus 310, looks like a far more appealing proposition to me. Prograis doesn't even have to win this one by knockout. He's the champ. You know, if he gets a couple of knockdowns, similar like Deontay Wilder Fury 1, it's going to be very hard to deny him on the scorecard. So I'll happily take a small piece of Regis Prograis on this one. Like I said, he's the power puncher. He only has to be right once. and maybe he's learned something from that poor performance against Sevilla last time out. So, yeah, plus 310, little sprinkle. Take the underdog this weekend up in San Francisco.
Like Kevin said, you can sprinkle. You're getting a 3-to-1 payout on that. You don't have to play a full unit to win 3 units. You can play a third of a unit to win your normal units. So that's what's nice about these underdog prices from a money management perspective. And Kevin Dolan just gave you a couple in soccer and basking. And don't forget, diversify that portfolio. Kevin does not only boxing and soccer, also some NBA. You've got an NBA best bet up for tonight. You also have a soccer play I see for $5 customer appreciation Wednesday, and also an EPL free play. So check out Kevin's page for the free play. Tell us about that best bet, though, tonight for $5, which I guess goes this weekend, right? So people have to get it on Wednesday before that price goes up.
Goes tonight, Steve. It goes in about 2 hours.
Wow.
So yeah,
Nice.
the clock's ticking there. Obviously, a couple of great deals. We got that year-end extravaganza special, which is up on everyone's pages right now. College football bowl access as well. We'll be pumping out videos and plays, along with you guys over the next few weeks on all those matchups. And you can use code December100, DEC100, to knock $100 off a 30-day soccer all access. So lots to like right now at WagerTalk. But yeah, that $5 play goes off very soon. So make sure and take advantage of that.
Yeah, you're right. It's a Wednesday night play, and I realized your free play is a Thursday night, I guess, play that goes tomorrow afternoon. So check out a free play from Kevin, but get his best bet for just $5, and it goes in a few hours. So don't delay. Check out Kevin Dolan at WagerTalk.com. And Teddy, enjoyed doing the show with you. It's just a great promo day, obviously, to say the least, with the $5 customer appreciation. But once again, people, don't forget about that $199 rest of year special. By the way, I cashed Monday and Tuesday in college hoops. I have an NBA best bet tonight for that $5 customer appreciation. I'm up over 128 units since January 1st this year in the NBA alone. And we're on a 17-5 all sports, football and basketball run over the past week plus. Not a bad time maybe to check out a $5 best bet or get that $199 rest of year special for myself, Steve Merrill at WagerTalk.com. And Teddy, take us home. Let us know what you got going on tonight as well.
Yeah, and notice the fact that no Prez. And oh my God, we're finishing the show on time. We appreciate you watching. You can get all my plays right now at WagerTalk.com. We do have a $5 NBA customer appreciation play posted. So you can get that. But don't buy it. I mean, I say it over and over again, and I mean it. Don't buy a play, buy a package. The $199 end of December special is worthwhile if you're interested in such a thing. We'll be back again tomorrow. Same time, same channel, 9 a.m. here on the left coast, noon for you back east. Between now and then, enjoy the games, and best of luck with all your wagers.